Hi, Dr. Albert Snow here. I want to talk to you a little bit about my GI Cure protocol. I'm a naturopathic doctor specializing in holistic gastroenterology. In fact, I invented that term in that category of medicine. Uh, 40 years ago, there was nobody doing what I do, and there still isn't. I developed a system for healing IBS, colitis, and Crohn's. That's right, healing, meaning after 3 or 4 months you don't have it anymore. The key to that is understanding that these are not diseases. We need to know what we're treating, and our medical doctors don't know that. They think you have a immune disease. It's your immune system attacking the tissue. It's just a guess. I mean, there's nowhere anywhere where they've proven that. I'm not being skeptical. I'm just being real, and you know that in your experience with your own doctors. Um, and also a problem is that the naturopathic people, getting the degrees in natural medicine, are coming out of school with the wrong model. They're taught and they're using the medical model. That's right, naturopathic doctors are being taught that it's an immune disease. So what are they doing? They're chasing the immune system around with herbs and such, and they're not going to get any results. No one's going to get healed because they're treating you for the wrong thing. I mean, I could tell you in, I don't know, 1 or 2 words if someone is treating you for a GI issue if they're way off. Because there's only a small handful of supplements that are needed, and they're the only ones that will do it. If anyone's telling you that there's a big commitment to a diet, they're wrong, and you should not participate in any of these crazy SED, FODMAP diets. They just aren't designed. First of all, you can't heal it with food. They're not designed to heal anything. If you dig deep into what they're doing, they're asking you to change your diet, permanently juggle things, and again, they have the view that there's no cure. There is. IBS, colitis, Crohn's, inflammatory bowel conditions, those are not diseases, they're man-made. I developed my own term for those, acquired inflammatory bowel, and that means, the word acquired, it means that you didn't have this all along. Something happened to give it to you, and I identify what that is, and once you know what that is, you know how to fix it. But I really don't know anyone else that knows that. What I do is totally different than anybody else. You couldn't find anything about what I do on the internet. All you get is a bunch of garbage on there. People regurgitating what they, for 2 or 3 or 4 generations now, have been wasting their time on. I'm just like a bolt out of the blue. It's just I came on the scene 40 years ago, and I've been healing people one at a time, quietly or not so quietly. I have a long history of people and testimonials, for instance, on my website. If you go to gicure.com, you'll see a lot of testimonials, and every one of those is legitimate. I have another website, Holistic Gastroenterology. That's the special one. That's where you can go and sign up for and get the GI Cure protocol, which is invaluable. As a matter of fact, what I do for a living is I treat people, use telemedicine. I treat people, I talk to them on the phone. I don't need to examine anybody, doesn't matter where you are. I have clients all over the world. And I charge a low fee because I want everyone to be able to get healed. That's my job. That's my goal. Charge $295 to get a 20-minute appointment with me, and then we exchange emails until you're healed. Well, I'm offering the same thing, $195, but it's in a course. It's on the website, part of the website, and it's designed over many, many years to be a flexible, living, breathing process where you go in and you pay $195 and you enter another whole world where there's this endless, vast amount of information. The protocol itself works every time. The only one's 98% success rate. And the 2% of people who just disappear on me. They ghost me. And I don't know, maybe they have healed and they just don't need me anymore. But I do know a lot of people who don't follow it. We have a saying around here, just do the effing program. On Facebook, whatever, people, the day after they have an appointment with me, Oh, they're talking about innovating. I'm going to also take cod liver oil, and my sister said drink it. And I just say, do the effing program, man. What are you trying to do? You trying to be healed? Or what is he trying to do by accumulating all kinds of stuff? You paid me to heal you, and now you're freelancing. Happens every day. And I get them back and I straighten them out. Or I get them back a year later and they're humbled. The protocol is flexible, meaning it has every contingency available, needed, or you can conceive of. And what you do is you follow directions and it gives you contingencies. If you had diarrhea one day, but 3 weeks later it's constipated, then you had a little bit of blood, and now you feel okay, it's all contingencies based on what you tell the system. So it gives us right there, and you get way more than you do with me. You get to live with this thing and deal with it. You only get me live 15 minutes and then email. It's great. Everybody gets healed. I don't have room for another patient. I haven't had room for another patient in 20 years, but I do take whoever comes my way. It gets to the point where it's going to be 4 or 5 days to return email, even though I work till 4 in the morning, 7 days a week, holidays included. I'm maxed out on that. So I decided to publish that, and also in the protocol on that part of the website at holisticgastroenterology.com, we're building a knowledge base, whereas everything I know, and I know more than anybody, and I not only do I know more than anybody, I know more than the internet, because the internet's all wrong. Not only do I'll say it 2 ways. No one else knows anything about this, so I have to know more, don't I? But what we do is we publish anything I say that my life's work is going on that thing. It's just being built now every day. This recording will go on there. And you'll be able to search, you'll search, what you think about papaya enzyme. Boom, papaya. If I really say anything about it, you'll find it. And this is living, breathing. It's going to give examples of cases of people I'm treating, even in real time, of course, no names. And you'll find out the genesis of how I figured it out. I broke the code many years ago. So that's going to be a cool place as a community. Wow, community is unbelievable. I write some on another thing you might want to look at. There's a Facebook group called Dr. Snow's Patients, Past, Present, and Future. Well, I've been invited to write posts on there in response, so I am on there quite a bit, but everybody loves it. This is the most amazing group of people I've ever been around. Everybody picks everybody up, everybody. Go on to these other sites you've been on, Colitis.com or something. Open your mouth, you're going to get attacked. Negative, it's just a pit of snakes. Everybody over here wants to give you a hug. I find that people don't, they're not looking to talk to me so much, they talk to each other. What's Dr. Snow think about this, or what do you think, what did you do? And they bypass me. Yet there's so much trust over there. So anyways, I wanted to tell you a little bit more, and then I'm going to do 2 or 3 audios to explain just the basics of who I am, what I do. The GI Cure was developed over many years, but I broke the code early on. I just had to learn how to transform it into, transmit it into words and treating people and blog posts and I've done well. I've done it quite well. The idea is it's deceptively simple. I just got an email from somebody saying it's too good to be true. Well, how do they know it's too good to be true? They've probably been burnt by who knows. I developed it, and it's based on the knowledge that these conditions are not diseases. They're man-made. You didn't inherit them, but you inherit the environment that you live in, which creates it. Okay? IBS, Colitis, and Crohn's, the same thing, not a disease. What am I getting at? If they're not a disease, what are they? Well, somewhere along the line, anyone who has inflammatory bowel disease, again, I caught myself conditions, I had to have had antibiotics at some point in their life. Okay? And people say, well, not me. I say, well, did you breathe today? It's in the air. Did you eat anything? Most foods are not antibiotic free. Did you take a bath? Well, chlorine is in the water. That's an antibiotic. It enters your pores. Listerine, anything you put on that kills germs, antibacterial, you've had them. But the main culprit is a oral antibiotic, 2 years old, 10 years old. And what happens is they take away portion of the mucosal lining. And so every time you take them, hallelujah, we don't have the infection anymore. I love antibiotics. But there's something, there's a downside. There's no freebies. You take an antibiotic, you're going to lose some of your mucosal lining. And you might not notice anything because you've had your second, third dose as you get a little bit older. You might have had for acne in high school. There's a lot of reasons. And we know that they have benefits. But there's a downside, of course. Downside is they take away that mucosal lining. We're going to talk about that more so in the next audio I do, but I want to introduce you to the very basics. Antibiotic works up the mucosal lining. Why is that important? It's because the stomach acids, which is really what's happening, eat away at the bowel wall, keeping up the blood vessels and nerves. I'm going to run through this fast because I want to give more time for it in itself in its own audio. So then when the tissue gets eaten away, we can rebuild it by feeding it the stuff that's made out of, not food. Food is barely, it's so unimportant I hardly mention it. You will be eating a low fiber diet, in most cases temporarily, because fiber food will rough up an already roughed up bowel. I'm not making fiber food a villain. I'm just saying under the circumstances, dietary-wise, your world's upside down. No raw fruit, no raw vegetables, no nuts, seeds, or corn. You can eat plenty. We have a running joke here, you can eat plenty of Twinkies. But Twinkies have no fiber, right? If you live through them, you'll have a healthier colon. So we replace the mucosal lining. That's a whole, I'm probably the most proud of that of anything. I discovered how to do that. I observed nature actually. And we build the underlying tissue. If you don't do both of them simultaneously, don't even bother. This is what I give you during an appointment. I listen to your story, and I turn around and feed it back to you with a solution. The GI Cure, the protocol, that's on the Holistic Gastroenterology website, gives you everything. For $100 less, so the price goes down, the value goes up, but way up. And the nice part about that, you can have it, you own it, and you can pass it on to whoever you want, your kids, your husband, your wife. And it's not going to get better. There's not going to be like a new edition. It's not going to be new and improved. I nailed it the first time. I did, and I've never had to change anything. And I know I don't. And I won't. So we rebuild the tissue. We put Humpty Dumpty back together again. We put the mucosal lining in, as I said. After 3 or 4 months, almost everybody's healed. A few lingerers. We have people sometimes once in a while go longer, and it's just sometimes they sabotage my work. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes I don't have the answer, but we get the answer. Nobody gets left behind with me. Now, if you do the, I call it the automated protocol, the 195. You'll still have a lifeline to me. It's a course you do yourself course with me. Put my whole life into that. It's even attractive. So you'll have a lifeline. You can call me and say, hey, listen, I got stuck on part 3, and I'll just say, well, you don't understand it. Left or right, up or down. It's pretty simple. It's there, but it can be overwhelming. So you don't have a disease. This is really my crusade. You have inflammatory bowel condition or acquired bowel disease, or again, catch myself, I'm using your terminology. Acquired inflammatory bowel, and it can go away. If you don't do the right thing, I don't know how you won't lose your colon. And I'll give you a little insight what we're going to talk about next. You have acid-eating holes, your own acid-eating holes in your gut. And as you sit there right now, did you have breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Sip of water? Anything? Juice? Shower? You're losing the bacteria, and therefore you're losing more of the flesh, skin, fat, and muscle. Every time you release acid, it goes down that hole, a little scoop, shovels out a microscopic layer of skin or fat or muscle, and you are now in worse shape than you were this morning when you woke up. We talk about in the protocol, the GI Cure protocol, we talk about all that, and the knowledge base which we're building is not as much in there as there will be. talk about all kinds of things, why the drug stopped working. Well, they didn't, it's just the problem outgrew the drug because the drug isn't stopping it. It might reduce the symptoms, but the longer you're on a drug, and if you don't get the full force of the symptoms, you don't have any idea how much damage there is going on underneath. It's like you had a hole, say a pothole in a road, you put a little covering over it. It's the same in this case, a wooden covering over it temporarily. And because the pothole was a foot wide, and you put a foot and a half piece of lumber on there, safe for overnight. Every time a car drives over that, which in this analogy would be anytime you swallow food and release acid, it eats away and eventually breaks down that wooden coverage. Again, it's an analogy. And the point I want to make is that you're taking the drug, that's our wood, and we say, okay, at least if nothing else, I'm okay now when I have symptoms. But the problem is that the destruction, even though you don't feel it, the destruction from the acids. I'll tell you why that is, and tomorrow. Yeah, maybe we'll do it today. I have to record something every day. The hole gets bigger because the traffic of the acid coming through every day eats more stuff, more flesh, and then you say, wow, the mesalamine doesn't work anymore. It's not the mesalamine, it's just the hole getting bigger than when you were prescribed. The doctor probably prescribed the right doses because it was a small and medium-sized hole. And then it outgrew it because if you don't stop eating, drinking, you're going to still have waste going through there, which requires the acid to digest the food and then into waste. Okay, I'm going to give you some insight of why you have diarrhea. The exact reason, not sometimes if you have diarrhea for a couple of days, it's not food poisoning or Montezuma's revenge. It's gastritis, which is just another word. You see how it interchanges these words. So that's enough for now. I want to give you something to digest on. You might go to my websites and say, I don't know what this guy's about, and I don't have any idea whether he's good or not. But there are plenty of people on there that think I know. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'll be back. I might do it back to back and do it. This is called a quick hitter, where I'll give you this is brand new, this series, 3 or 4 parts. It's just the anatomy of the GI cure. Just giving you some insight what it is, give you enough information to determine, do I want to get involved with this, do I have faith in this? Read my little book on Holistic Gastroenterology website, and you'll be intrigued. I've had a fun challenge for 40 years, asking people, like I used to do a radio show, poke a hole in my process. Find something that's there he's wrong, he's a fake. It can't be done. No one's ever done it. On a radio show, we were often using lots of money. I said, come on, and you guys come on the show, and not in this case right now, but then, and we'll talk about it. Nobody, not that I'm a good talker, but nobody was ever to tell me what the problem was that I couldn't, what I couldn't answer. So, I think you're going to find this very interesting. Everything I say in the subject is not only different, it's pretty much opposite of anybody. So when people tell me, well, my local nutritionist, I say, the local nutritionist is probably great at nutrition. This is not a nutritional issue. Or my naturopathic doctor here in Knoxville, I doubt they specialize. Because nobody specializes in this because it's supposed to be impossible to heal. We have pull-off miracles every day. And I'm going to give myself some credit. I have balls. I closed down my office and went out in the woods, actually at pasture, and watched animals nursing their babies, and that's where a lot of these actually probiotics and collagen before there was a word for. I was in it 15 years before there was even a word for probiotics. Much of what I said is written in different things. I don't get credit for it, but no one believes it anyway. So I'm going to wrap it up for right now. I can't wait to get started on part 2. This is part 1, where I go specifically into the antibiotic issue and how you acquired this, and then we'll finish up this 3-part series with how to fix it. Fix the mucosal lining. It's going to be in part 2, but the meat of this thing is actually building the flesh of the skin, fat, and muscle of the bowel wall, covers up the nerves and blood vessels. Mucosal line's covering that up. I'm going to give you the details. I might even do protocol. I might as well do it again. Close this down. Start up with part 2 and maybe do part 3. But they're coming, and I think you're going to find them fascinating. Check out gicure.com, which is my website that you could schedule an appointment if you wanted to. I also want to say, please don't. gicure.com and Holistic Gastroenterology for the information on the protocol. $195. How many people offer $100 off of something that's already not that much? And then you're going to get so much more. And it's going to grow. And just to be part of the community. This is a really cool